Everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Training. I hope you're having a fantastic week. As always,
we are live from Austin, Texas, right here at Insurance Syndicate headquarters, and man, we have a great show for you.
What's up, man? It's Tuesday. Y'all know what's up. That means it's a little Tuesday training time. Hope everybody's doing great. I apologize if my voice is a little rough, having a little bit of an allergy attack. Like 10 minutes before I wanted to go live here, my nose started going wild. So something's in the air, got me sneezing, got me a little sniffly and itchy, but I will be fine. So hope you guys are doing great, man. It is a beautiful, beautiful day here in Austin, Texas. Super happy to be here with you guys as always. And I basically just got some news updates that I want to go over with you, some industry stuff that's pertinent, a few announcements, and then just some general Q&A. If you have, as I'm going through some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments and I'll address them live. I've got some, I curated just a small handful of questions from some of the different Facebook groups that I'm going to answer on the show as well. But most importantly, we got a fair amount of news and some updates that I want to go through with you, and also just kind of give you maybe a little calendar of some of the events that are going on for the year. There's quite a few of them coming up, as everybody knows in the industry. First and second quarter is when all the events start coming around. So there's a bunch of them. I'm actually going to be hitting up about 3 different events next week alone. So a lot of stuff going on, man. And as always, big shout out to my partner at DFY CRM for helping make this show possible. I'm a big fan of the DFY CRM. It is the CRM I use. And as a matter of fact, not next week, in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, we're going to have Caitlin Portillo on the show. She's been with us before. She is a expert on Go High Level and SaaS platforms, et cetera, et cetera. She will not be talking about her own SaaS or Go High Level platform, but understanding like some of the things you can do with maybe the version that you're using. So looking forward to talking to her about some of the updates. Some of the updates that Go High Level is going to be bringing, as well as just different things that we can use the platform for to be more successful and be more productive. So look out for that one. That's 2 weeks from today. But other than that, man, I want to jump into some news with you guys. Some of it's fairly pertinent. I'm sure you have heard. Let me get some screen sharing going here for you. This first article that I'm pulling has been everybody's talking about. As a matter of fact, I was just in the 7-figure Medicare agent group, and they have a whole video that they're going to be doing just talking about this specific topic. But you have probably heard that the 1-to-1 consent rule has been postponed to January 1 or January of 2026, a whole year. What does that basically mean? It basically means that age leads are on the table, baby. About half of agents are a little upset about this, and about half of agents are super excited about it. Certainly a lot of your marketers are super excited about it. But basically, what do you know? As we've known for a while, hopefully, if you've been paying attention, and we've talked about it a lot on this show, as this has been something developing. But a while back, the FCC created a rule that said, hey, 1-to-1 consent, right? If you're a TPMO, which is all of us as agents, brokers, uplines, FMOs, NMOs, et cetera, if they generate a lead, it is only allowed to be for that one person, that one individual. As a consumer, I like that idea a lot. Like, I don't want to fill out an online lead form for, say, a mortgage, right? That I'm trying to get some mortgage quotes. And then all of a sudden I'm hearing from the Cadillac dealer or from a real estate broker or some other insurance person trying to sell me stuff. Like that's not what I asked for. I just want some information on mortgages, and I should only hear from hopefully one, the one that I asked for information from. But we know that's not how it works. We know that people go onto websites, they fill in their information to get a Medicare quote or any type of insurance quote. And very often that lead is sold to numerous agents, $10, $15, $25, whatever it might be. And the first agent that can get that person on the phone, provide them with value, and close the deal is the one that wins the sale. That's generally been the game, and that ain't going to change anytime soon. So speed to lead, if you're buying internet leads or shared leads of any sort, is still going to be extremely necessary. So that rule was supposed to go into effect a long time ago. It was supposed to go into effect in 2023, if I remember correctly, maybe 2024. But it got postponed to this year, and now it's postponed again. But not only is it postponed, this article right here from National Law Review is saying that it's going even further now. Right? So it's not just postponed. It is pretty much tossed out. The 11th Circuit vacates the TCPA one-to-one consent rule immediately after the FCC postpones the effective date. I've already posted this article in the group. It's got a lot of information in it that goes over exactly what was thrown out and what is still in effect, like robocalls and text messages and some of those opt-ins. A lot of that obviously is still at play. But that one-to-one consent rule, right, is no longer in play at all. Like it wasn't in play yet anyway, but we thought it was about to come, and then now it's been postponed, and now it's been thrown out completely. So I'm not going to go over the whole article. Like I said, it's posted in the group, but I am going to point out one specific point, right? And I'll there are 2 points, right? First statement right here on January 24th, 2025, the FCC announced that it has postponed the effective date of the one-to-one consent rule. By this order, we postpone the effective date to revisions of yada yada to January 26th of 2026, right? All right, so that's the first part. And basically said, hey, we're going to keep talking about it for a year, and then we'll start it next year. But then cruise on down here, and now you have the 11th Circuit Court has subsequently vacated the TCPA one-to-one consent rule altogether. Right here. In a unanimous decision by judges that were all appointed by President Trump, it was held that FCC exceeded its statutory authority under the TCPA because the 2023's orders new consent restrictions impermissibly conflict with the ordinary statutory meaning of prior express consent. Importantly, the court opined that the TCPA does not define prior express consent and that common law principles should be considered when analyzing that phrase. It goes on to kind of expand on some of that. Again, I'm going to refer you to the article to dig into it deeper. I don't know if this has anything to do with them throwing out the Chevron deference ruling last June or July. I suspect that that's why they're allowed to do this now. And I feel like, I feel like that Chevron deference that they threw out from the Supreme Court last year is going to open up a lot of stuff that we're going to see a lot of changes, a lot of rollbacks, as we're already seeing in different areas. And I'm not going to get into all of that, but right here is a perfect example. And I think that is what allowed for this, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about in the Chevron deference, I'm not going to get too deep, but basically when the Supreme Court threw out Chevron deference, that means now that no unelected official is allowed to interpret the law and create rules. Well, that's what most of these three-letter agencies do. The FCC, CMS, et cetera, right? Those were all created, and they deferred law interpretation and rulemaking to those three-letter governing bodies. And now we're seeing, I think, some of the results of that Chevron deference getting tossed, because now you have the court saying that the FCC doesn't have the authority to interpret those rulings or interpret that law and create their own rulings under TCPA. And that's why we're seeing this. So this article is already in the group, like I said. But basically, in short, what does this mean for you as the agent, right? Well, it means, number one, again, that if you're in the game of buying used leads, shared leads, aged leads, whatever, that speed to lead is definitely on the map. So if you're getting an internet lead, you're going to have to be one of the first people absolutely to get that person on the phone with a great attitude, the right solution, and close the deal. It means that lead costs are going to stay lower, right? Because now marketers can sell shared leads, right? So now they can sell a $15 lead to 10 guys, 20 guys, right? Instead of having to sell one person a $150 lead. So your lead costs will stay low. And it certainly just means that age leads are on the table. Like my buddy Pete Fournier is ecstatic because he loves buying $1 age leads in the life insurance space and crushing them. He's very good at it. Great business model. I don't have anything against it personally. Like I said, as a consumer, I like the rule of 1-to-1 because I don't want my information getting shared all over the place. As an agent, well, for me, I would actually prefer that this rule go into effect, not just as a consumer, but because I know it's going to thin my own competition because I don't buy leads. I generate my own, right? So if I'm able to generate my own and a rule like this goes into effect, then that means that my lead value goes way up, right? But it is what it is. I still don't have a problem competing, and I appreciate it. But a lot of agents, this is going to make very, very happy. And just to mention it, at the top of this hour, 10 a.m. Central, Christian Brindle and Glenn Shelton are going to be doing another live video going a little deeper into this. So you might want to bounce over there after this if this is something that you're super intrigued about and how it may affect you and what you can do. But basically, it's business as usual is really all it is, right? Pretty simple. Moving along. I got a few more news items that I want to show you guys. Check this one out. From Fierce Healthcare, CMS withdraws the notice of appeal over United Healthcare's MA Star Ratings lawsuit. So you probably had heard about this, right? As I remember, I believe 3 carriers at least all sued CMS when they came up with their new calculation formula for star ratings. So Scan won their lawsuit. I believe Elevance also won theirs. And United Healthcare's was still in effect. CMS was going to appeal it. The judge ruled that it was garbage and that CMS indeed did need to recalculate United Healthcare's scores. But then CMS they filed a countersuit and said, no, we don't. And they wanted that judge to appeal it and reverse it. Last minute, don't know why, but CMS yanked their countersuit and their appeal. So now they absolutely do have to recalculate United Healthcare's star ratings, right? So updated 2 o'clock on January 24th, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services has changed its course on its plans to appeal a court ruling that determined it must recalculate United Healthcare's Medicare Advantage star ratings. Agency submitted a filing in Texas District Court earlier this week, saying it intended to file an appeal to the Fifth Circuit Court. In new documents filed Friday, CMS has withdrawn its notice of appeal. The filing does not include details on why CMS changed its course so quickly. I'll get this in the group too, but looks like we're going to see some recalculations on the star ratings. And if you're not really familiar with this lawsuit, it is, in my opinion, it is bogus because the center, like it says right here, at the center of the case was a single foreign language test phone call that was made to one of United Healthcare's call centers. CMS categorized the call as unsuccessful because it was disconnected before the test caller could fully engage with the customer service agent. So they're picking on them about one call and they're hitting their star ratings. So they're getting that fixed. United Healthcare is going to see some bounce back on star ratings. So that's good stuff there. Moving along. This one is not necessarily the news that you're looking for. How many physicians have opted out of the Medicare program? What do you think? Certainly not that many overall, right? I mean, the vast majority of doctors, providers nationwide all accept Medicare, original Medicare. I think one of the last statistics I saw that was roughly 98% of all medical providers in the U.S. accept original Medicare. And generally speaking, the small percentage of those that don't are usually in the behavioral health category. Psychologists, psychiatrists, neuroscientists, etc. Right? They tend to make up the majority. However, looks like some are now dropping out, right? It still says it right here. Despite ongoing concerns, virtually all 98% of non-pediatric physicians participate in the Medicare program. But it goes through some takeaways. About 1% of all non-pediatric physicians have formally opted out of the Medicare program in 2024. The share was highest again, psychiatrists, 8.1%, plastic and reconstructive surgeons, 4.5%, neurologists, 3.2%. So again, not a huge deal. I mean, I don't know how many plastic and reconstructive surgeons can really accept Medicare, because wouldn't most of that be considered cosmetic anyway and not medically necessary? I guess there are some reconstructive surgeons that probably would need to accept Medicare for something. Psychiatrists account for the largest share, 39% of all non-pediatric physicians who have opted out of Medicare in 2024, followed by family medicine physicians, 21%, and internal medicine physicians, 13%. Less than 2% of non-pediatric physicians have opted out of Medicare in 47 states. The rate is slightly higher in 3 states, Alaska, Colorado, Idaho, and the District of Columbia. So I'll get this in the group as well. But yes, some providers are now starting to opt out. But again, they're usually not the providers that are super, super, super necessary for us. I'll get that in the group as well. You guys can check that one out. And again, this is from Kaiser Family Foundation. I've mentioned this a lot, but if you're an agent that's in the health insurance sector at all, ACA, Medicare group, whatever, you should be following Kaiser Family Foundation. Some of the best news and analysis stuff, including this one I'm about to show you. So they just put this out on the 23rd. It is a full FAQ sheet about the Inflation Reduction Act's Medicare price negotiation program. Again, this is the detailed one, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I will get it in the group. But it basically gives you pretty much every question that you could probably think of about the IRA and how it's what its effect is on prescriptions, which drugs are getting negotiated, yada, 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 right? So, for example, just to kind of start it off, on January 17, 2025, Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services announced the list of 15 drugs that were selected for the second round of price negotiation after concluding the first round of negotiation of 10 drugs back in August 2024, right? So there's another 15 drugs about to go up. You can actually click on this little button here. It'll pull up the whole fact sheet and list for you, right here to show you that. So this is their whole list of all the drugs that they're working on. It goes through a bunch of Q&A on here. You can check it out. Pretty simple. Some serious drugs on there. But then back to this Q&A. Boom. So right down here, like how many and which types of drugs are going to be qualified for price negotiation 27? How does CMS identify them? What is the timeline? What is the biotech exception? Biosimilar delays? Goes through everything you want to know. So again, I'm not going to go through every one of these FAQs. You can check them out yourself. I will get this in the group, but excellent article that will keep you in the know on exactly what's going on with which drugs, what the next round of drugs are, and what that timeline looks like. So you can kind of, if you have any clients that are taking some of those drugs, you can plan ahead a little bit, if that makes sense. Moving along. I covered this one not too long ago. Quick update here, but just to remind you, and again, we have a new administration. Like this proposal for 2026 was made under the Biden administration. We're obviously no longer under that administration. We're under this new one. So this may not even apply, right? But as you probably already heard, CMS on January 10th proposed a 4.3% increase to Medicare Advantage plans for 2026. If you don't keep up or you haven't kept up with the series or the history of payment increases to Medicare Advantage plans, you probably don't know this, but 4.3% is extremely large. It is, I believe, the second, if not third, largest payment increase they've ever given to Medicare Advantage plans. I recently went through the entire history of them and looked at it based on the different administrations that were in effect during those different increases, what some of the trends were, et cetera. technically this last administration, these last 4 years have been the highest increases in funding to private Medicare plans than we've ever seen. Biden set records 2 years in a row when the average increases used to be around 2 to maybe 3%. He immediately came in and dropped a big 4.5% or 4.2, I think it was, on one of his first years. Circled back around with an 8.5% increase, which was double the previous year. Both of those were record-setting increases. And as we know, we saw that massive explosion of Medicare Advantage plans in 2022 and 2023. Or 2023 and 2024, sorry. Not that 2022 wasn't explosive, but 23 and 24 certainly were, right? Huge footprint growth, lots of benefits, more commissions for us, right? And now they're going to pony up another 4.3. I don't know if this is going to get approved. Like, I believe it would get approved because I would think the incoming administration would really like Medicare Advantage plans, so they would probably increase the funding. They might even come back and increase it more. I don't know. Or they might say, no, we're cutting all costs. No increases this year. Everything stays the same. Who knows? But as it stands, CMS has a 4.3% payment increase on the table right now to be voted on later. And then if you didn't also catch it, they slid it in at the bottom. Starting 2026, your troop on Part D goes up to $2,100. We all know it's $2,000, but it's going to go up to $2,100. I would say we're probably going to see that continue to trend. So good stuff there. Real quick question came from the gallery here from Mr. Josh Roman. How do you generate your own leads? I do most of mine through Facebook, my man. It took me a long time to get good at it, and I'm still not an expert, but I'm generating leads. I think one of our campaigns is running at about $3.13 a lead on average. And we've generated maybe about 500 leads this month on that one campaign. My lead forward campaigns generally run about 12 to 18 bucks a lead, somewhere right in there where I'm getting the Instaform. But Facebook has been my primary source. It's not that hard. I was going to release a Facebook training course right before AEP last year. I was talking about it in like June and July, and I was getting it together, had delays getting ready for AEP. And then when I found out that Meta was making changes to the special ad categories, I backed off of releasing that course because I wanted to see how these new changes might affect it. So I still might put that together and get it out for you. But if you're not using Facebook to generate leads, you should probably learn how because it's pretty slamming. So, all right. So getting back to some news real quick, right? We got that one. Boom. Got another one here from the American Hospital Association. They support policy and tech changes to Medicare Advantage Part D for 2026. So again, right, we already know that there's changes coming from the Inflation Reduction Act. There's payment changes, right, to hospitals, et cetera. And now the AHA is saying they support that stuff. It's been, and that's pretty much all this really is saying that now the AHA is in support of CMS proposed changes, which is interesting because a lot of the hospitals have been really bitching about Medicare Advantage and some of the CMS stuff. So it's interesting to see that now the AHA is coming back to support them. And all they did from here was they just linked a bunch of articles. Some of these are good. Some of them I've used and talked to you about. So nothing major there, but AHA is on board with changes. Let's go. Moving along. This one is a speculative article, but I found it informative. This is from some random finance journal online, Home Finance. But basically, this girl speculates what she thinks is going to change for Medicare under Trump. Basically, what she's calling Trump 2.0. Mike Capriculo is asking me on Facebook ads, do I target national or local? Local. And not just local Austin, but local markets, right? I'll specifically target certain zip codes or areas where I know I've got high population density of my ideal target, and then also good solutions. So some of that is changing in Facebook. I haven't fully converted over to the new special ad category yet. I'm about halfway through. So in some areas, you can no longer target zip codes, but you can still target cities, states, etc. But yeah, I target more on a localized level, not just spraying at national. But here's some ideas that she thinks, right? And I'm just going to buzz through some of these. She thinks drug pricing. Trump plans to reverse all of Biden area policies on drug price negotiations. Possible expansion of Medicare Advantage plans, new benefit structures. Makes sense to me. Apparently, there's discussions, at least according to her, of potential age adjustments and qualification criteria. This has been going on for a little while, right? They've been ponying around the idea of maybe raising the Medicare age or even lowering the Medicare age, thinking they can get more money into it, which could solve it. So I assume those discussions would continue, especially under the new administration, right? Wouldn't surprise me to see them maybe bump up the Medicare age now. Whew, that'd be wild. Out-of-pocket costs, certainly we might see some changes in co-payments, and then privatization efforts increase as well. So some of the things she thinks, like one of the most talked about changes is the rollback of Medicare price negotiations, which were introduced under the Biden administration. What we've already seen, the executive order I talked about, I think last week or a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was last week, executive order 14087, he reversed that, right? Which wasn't really that big a deal, but it's basically a cost reduction effort. Some of the expected changes: potential removal of drug price caps, leading to higher out-of-pocket cost. Deregulation of pharmaceutical pricing, allowing companies to set market-driven prices. Wouldn't that bring prices down? Expansion of prescription drug plans under Medicare Part D. More drug plans, better drug plans. Let's get that back on the table. Changes in medication coverage that could impact availability. Introduction to new competitive pricing models. For an example, seniors could see an increase in monthly premiums for essential medications like insulin and blood pressure. Maybe. I think she's getting ahead of herself a little bit. Medicare Advantage expansion. I think this is one we would all expect, right? We have a new capitalist administration coming in, conservatives. They like private companies, etc. So we would all expect in this industry that we'll see another expansion of Medicare Advantage plans. So I don't think that's necessarily any news, but we'll see, because there's a big argument based on which one actually costs Medicare more money. And it's pretty close. I put out an article, I think yesterday or last week, or yesterday actually, I posted an article that shows that Medicare Advantage plans save Medicare spending. It's not a lot, but it is some savings apparently. Potential changes to eligibility and enrollment. Currently, Medicare obviously begins at 65. Some suggest a possible shift in eligibility age or income-based qualification, raising the eligibility age to 67 to align with Medicare or the Social Security reforms. Means testing for Medicare Part B to determine premiums based on incomes. I mean, we already have that to some level, right, with the IRMAs and so forth. Streamlining the enrollment process to minimize paperwork. That'd be great if we could just get everybody applying for Medicare online very easily and allowing third parties to help with that. Introduced phased eligibility, right, to gradually transition beneficiaries, and expanding access to younger individuals with chronic conditions. Could see adjustments to out-of-pocket costs, she pontificates, including a higher deductible for Part A. That's standard. Like, I don't know how you can just throw that one out there and say, oh, this is probably because of Trump. Pretty much every year, the Part A deductible goes up. So I don't really agree with her there, but yes, we may see some higher cost sharing coming around. And then some privatization and administrative reforms. So, and then finally, she just gives a little bit of advice here, but a few things that it was worth chatting about for a minute and kind of looking at some of that. But yeah, we're definitely going to see some changes. What we're going to see, can't really say yet. Moving along, got a couple more for you guys. As always, I love pointing out fraud because it's one of the biggest problems that we have in the Medicare space is fraud. And here's another one. North Carolina doctor. And this one is crazy. Like this one I think will freak you out a little bit. North Carolina doctor convicted of reusing medical devices and surgeries and defrauding Medicare of millions. And she's had her appeal denied. Anita Jackson, who operated clinics in Rockingham, Lumberton, and Raleigh, North Carolina. Check this out. A federal appeals court has upheld the conviction of a North Carolina ear, nose, and throat doctor who reused single-use surgical devices on over 1,400 Medicare patients. Gross. Like, I don't know what those surgical devices might be in regards to ear, nose, and throat. But in my brain, I'm thinking of like at the very base level, not even a surgical device. But when you go in the ear, nose, and throat doctor, they certainly have those wooden sticks that they put on your tongue and say, imagine if they were reusing those. That's kind of nasty. But this lady was reusing single-use surgical devices on over 1,400 Medicare beneficiaries and defrauded the program of millions of dollars. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals rejected arguments from Dr. Anita Louise Jackson, age 63, who was sentenced to 25 years in prison in June of 23 after being found guilty of device adulteration, fraud, conspiracy, and identity theft. Evidence showed that she used only 36 FDA-approved Intellis devices for over 1,500 surgeries, meaning that she reused them on multiple patients, despite rules requiring single. What the hell is an Intellis device? I'm going to look that up real quick. Anybody know what an Intellis device is? No, there's a reseller of medical products, so it could be any number of different products. But yeah, that's wild, man. Prosecutor said Jackson marketed the procedures as a sinus spa. My allergies are killing me today. I could probably use a sinus spa, but I'll be damned if you're going to reuse a medical device on me that you used on somebody else. But it encouraged patients to receive treatments that they might not have even needed. And when auditors investigated the practice as the nation's top biller for this procedure, she and her staff falsified medical records and forged patient signatures. Damn. The doctor put profit over patients by reusing single-use surgical devices hundreds of times, even though those devices came into contact with blood and other bodily fluids. Yeah, and then what Mike says, like, she had the audacity to appeal that. Like, are you kidding me? That's nasty. Jackson was ordered to forfeit $4.7 million in profits and serve 3 years of supervised release after her prison term. She gets to do 25. Poor lady. She's 60. I shouldn't say poor lady, but she's 63 years old. She's going to do 25 years. She probably won't do the whole 25, right? She'll probably do a third if she keeps herself in good behavior. But then she has to do 3 years of supervised release after prison. Good. Send her to prison, man. I got no problem with that. I don't like people defrauding. I take it personally. Like, you're defrauding my livelihood, in my opinion. And then final one. Yeah, final one here. And this one you guys already know because you're all experts, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Fact check. The insulin cap for Medicare is unaffected by Trump's order on prescription drug cost. Most of y'all know this. Yes, thankfully she wasn't a proctologist. Come on, Mike. You're getting my head out of the game here. But yes, as we all know, right? Executive Order 14087, Trump already reversed it. That had 3 primary takeaways. I talked about it last week, as I remember, right? It 86'd a $2 cap on certain generic prescriptions. I don't have that full list. I've been trying to find it. And it got rid of some medical research stuff. And it's got a bunch of people pissed off about it as usual, right? And so a lot of people have been posting misinformation saying that he reversed the $35 insulin cap, and no, he has not. Might there be some changes to the $35 insulin cap? Perhaps in the future. We'll see what they do with the Inflation Reduction Act and how they either appeal it, repeal it, or alter it, right? But and it says here, just to be clear, the IRA can only be repealed through new legislation, not an executive order, right? Executive order can reverse an executive order or change it, but he can't just come behind and wipe out the Inflation Reduction Act. Good as a bill, it's a piece of legislation, right? So it can only be repealed through new legislation that everybody has to agree on, pass, etc. So for any of your people, if you're talking to people out there and they're worried about the insulin cost, etc., tell them, no. Didn't have any effect on that. It went after a list of, and see, they show this little picture here, right? already. Why would Trump remove the $35 insulin cap when a million people need it? Like, not even a real ad. It's obviously garbage. So you guys all know that, but just wanted to remind you. So with that said, I've got just a couple of Q&As here. If you guys have any questions regarding any of the stuff I've talked about, anything in general regarding Medicare, the industry, etc., feel free to drop them in the chat. I've got a couple of pre-curated questions that I pulled from some groups that I'm going to chat about real quick, and then we'll move along for the rest of the day. I guess I only got about 3 of them. Which one do I want to do first? All right, we'll just do this one first. It's easy. Hey, everyone. Does anyone have a really good Medicare 101 PowerPoint presentation, and would you be willing to share it with me? Yes, I have one, and yes, I would be willing to share it with you, Mr. Facebook user. I replied there. If anybody does need a really good, compliant, generic Medicare 101, I've got a brand new one. I actually got it from Precision Senior Marketing, where I came from, right? That was the wholesale broker that I worked at for 13 years. And still, they handle most of my contracts, obviously. But they just put out a brand new updated one for 2025. It's really, really, really nice. I would say it might be slightly over detailed, but it's a really sharp presentation. I have a copy of it. If you need it, I can shoot one over to you. I'm not going to use exactly theirs. I'm taking theirs and I'm updating a few things on it graphically to represent my brand. Next one. I have a client needing to cancel a MedSup Plan G because she got a full-time job with benefits. Does she just need to call into the carrier, or is there something else she needs to do? That answer ultimately varies on the carrier that her Medicare supplement is with. In some cases, they can just call in and say, hey, cancel my Medicare supplement effective January 31st. I'm done. And they'll cancel it. Other carriers, they want it in writing. So you either have to fax in or mail in a letter written by the beneficiary that says, hey, please cancel my Medicare supplement policy, yada, 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 effective January 31st. Some of them, I believe United Healthcare has updated theirs, where now you have to go into your member portal and request cancellation. Something you can also do is stop paying the damn thing. Just don't pay it, right? Turn off your auto bill, auto draft, don't make the next payment, and it'll lapse and then it would be canceled. That'd be another way. But ultimately, this answer, you need to address that with the specific carrier that you're needing to cancel, because they'll all have a little bit different process. But the one thing that is absolutely true is you as the agent cannot cancel their Medicare supplement plan, period. You can't call in and cancel it. You can't write in and cancel it. You can't request the cancellation. All you can do is communicate the message or communicate the process to the client and have them kind of follow it up. So pretty simple. Last one. This question, you guys may have seen this question, and I'm not wanting to pick on this lady that asked this question. But it says, hey guys, what strategies do you use when sales are slow? And when I saw the question first, like if you saw my response in the thread, I was like, well, you're the one that's in charge of of how slow it is. Like, you're the one that's in charge of whether my business is slow or busy. I mean, if you just sit around all day waiting for leads to come in through the mail slot and business to come in, while you're sitting around eating cornflakes, yeah, it's going to be slow, right? But if you're working to develop marketing, to develop leads, to develop your brand, to do all of that, then you can keep it busy. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, what do I tell my guys to do when, say, leads are slow or inbound traffic is slow? It's a really simple answer. Some of you ain't going to like it. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone and call somebody. You're the one that has the ability to decide how busy you want to be. Are you just going to sit around and wait for the phone to ring? Are you going to sit around and wait for a new lead to come in? Are you going to sit around and wait for a referral? Or are you going to proactively go get them? So yes, if inbound traffic is slow, if leads aren't coming in as fast as we would like, I've got a whole set of phone lists that my agents can dive into, right? They can call all of their other people that they've talked to over the last couple of years or year. I mean, if they're scoped and I have the proper consent, I've got them for a year that we can keep talking to them. Call them. Crossmark. This is one of the things I've been talking about ever since the new year started on this show. Cross market your current book. Why are you not cross marketing your current book? That's asinine. It makes no sense. They already trust you, right? Because they've done business with you once. You probably have a bunch of other products that same person needs. Like the last 3 episodes have all been about cross marketing. You shouldn't just have one product. You should have a primary product line, secondary product line, and maybe even tertiary, right? We sell Medicare. Like I mentioned this, and it was kind of a joke, but it's also kind of true. We're a life insurance shop disguised as a Medicare shop. And what that means is we market Medicare because we can get a better ROI on our marketing by marketing Medicare. I can get a higher return, right, on outbound marketing to generate inbound traffic. We close them in the Medicare space, and then we cross-market them final expense for the bigger dollars up front, right? That's how you build perpetuity, and then how you stuff your pockets first year. It is not hard. You do not have to be a rocket scientist to do that. But yes, when sales are slow, it's your job to make it busy. How do you do that? Cross-market your current book. Get a cold call list. Get out of your office and go bang on some doors. Go talk to some providers. Go talk to some other businesses, referral partners. Go to a NABIP meeting and meet some more people. Do something productive that can help you. Buy some leads. Like this, what strategies do you use when sales are slow? You pick up the phone and you get to work. Like the answer should be so simple, right? Do something. Anyway, that's pretty much it, man. That's the only, I don't see any questions popping in. So that is going to be the show for the day. I always appreciate you guys taking some time to tune in. Lots of stuff going on. Oh, I wanted to mention a few events. There's a lot of events going on. Now, if you're in Texas, we have a host of events coming up next month. I will be in Houston. All right, weird. Muted my mic all of a sudden for no reason. But anyway, I will be in Houston on February 5th. Yeah, is that right? Yeah, February 5th for NABIPS, for NABIP Houston, National Association of Benefits and Insurance Professionals. It's a mouthful, right? They're having their professional development day. Outstanding lineup, CE credits. I think you get 4 or 5 CE credits at that event. Going on same day as that event, also in Houston, is the Latin Insurance Association Agent Association's luncheon. They do a luncheon the first Wednesday of every month in Houston. It's at Maggiano's, I believe, from 11:30 to 1, something like that. So I'm going to go to the NABIP event, and then if I can conveniently, I'm going to bounce over to the LIAA event for lunch, mainly because I want to go over there and meet some of those folks and promote our event, Invictus, which, unless you've been living under a rock, Invictus is coming up May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Also in Houston, we're doing it at the Royal Sonesta again. Got some phenomenal speakers. We haven't started announcing them yet, but we will be putting out some of the speaker lineup here shortly. Certainly a few of the same faces, but a lot new faces that you will see at the event this year. And as you know, Invictus is the only Spanish language conference open to the public, right? All the material coming from breakouts and front stage is all in Spanish language. Also next week, so February 5th is the NABIP National Development Day in Houston. Next day, on the 6th, can't remember if it's 4th, 5th, or 5th, 6th now, but whatever. Wednesday, Thursday. On Thursday is Justin Brock's Make Medicare Great Again event, also in Houston. That is at the Woodlands Resort. I believe it is already sold out. So I'm not sure if you missed that one, you may not be able to get into it. Whether or not he records it, I have no clue. But then I'm going to bounce over to that event on Thursday. And then also that same day, Thursday, in San Antonio, my buddy Cody Askins is doing an 8% Nation Roadshow. And with the right strings, we're going to have Clarissa Gonzalez as one of the speakers there. I'm trying to tee that up with Cody, if you're watching, Cody. So that's another one coming up. And then I noticed, I had heard that 8% was getting moved to Orlando, but it's not. It's going to be in Plano. I just saw his button yesterday. Tickets, he's got a really good deal going on in his tickets right now. They're like up to 75% off. I think you can get a diamond ticket for $250. That's normally $1,000. But he is doing that in Plano, so I'll be excited. I'm going to be going to 8% again this year. What else do we? Obviously, you got Medicare Con coming up. Lots of good stuff. I'll be at Medicarians for sure as well. But if you're in Texas and you're going to be in the Houston area, look me up next week. I'll be bouncing around Houston for a couple of days. And if you're in the area, connect with me. I would love to meet you, chat with you, talk about your business, and just kind of shoot the shit. So hope you guys have an awesome day. That's the Tuesday training for today. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned for more.